The industry's brightest had gathered for the Innovator of the Year Gala. Eric stood at the podium, basking in applause.
This seal design is entirely my own. A breakthrough 2 decades in the making.
Then, from the press table, journalist Rebecca Marsters slowly rose to her feet.
Mr. Hale, before you continue, I have a document I'd like you to explain.
She raised a yellowed patent certificate above her head. The room fell silent.
This is your design, filed in 1981. Tell me about page 4, paragraph 2.
Eric's mouth opened. No sound came out. The color drained from his face. In the back of the ballroom, a silver-haired man in a navy blazer watched without moving. Stephen had waited 30 years for his son to learn this lesson. Tonight, in front of everyone, the lesson would begin. But to understand why a father would orchestrate his own son's humiliation, we have to go back 6 weeks. 6 weeks before the gala, Stephen stood in his cluttered workshop, surrounded by a lifetime of blueprints. Mounted above his workbench, the original patent from 1981, a micro-seal that revolutionized offshore drilling. A tiny component, tolerance measured in thousandths of an inch, it stopped catastrophic leaks on offshore rigs. Stephen invented it at 34, alone in a rented garage, solving a problem the industry ignored.
I never wanted fame. I just wanted the thing to work.
He filed the patent. For 20 years, royalties came. Then, in 2001, he made a surprising choice. He let the patent expire. No renewal. The design became public domain, a gift to the engineers he admired.
Margaret said it was the most honest thing I'd ever done.
Now, that very patent, his gift, was being used to claim an honor that wasn't earned.
I will not raise my voice. When the time comes, the truth will speak for itself.
Across town, Eric Hale's sleek corner office buzzed with the morning news.
Innovator of the Year. I can't believe it. Thank you. Thank you.
The industry board had selected his micro-seal enhancement as the breakthrough of the decade.
Finally. The recognition I've been working toward my entire career.
He thanked his team with practiced warmth, promised a celebration when the award was formally presented. But once alone, the smile thinned. He locked his office door. He pulled a tablet from his locked drawer and stared at the digital patent filing.
No one will ever dig this deep. The old man let it expire. It's public domain.
The 1981 filing was public record, but no one had connected it to his novel improvement yet.
I earned this. I made the leap from his design. That's innovation.
3 days after the award announcement, a text lit up Rebecca Marsters' phone. The message read, "Eric Hale's seal patent was stolen. Check the 1981 filing. No signature."
A 181 patent? If this is true, the Innovator of the Year is a fraud.
She spent the night cross-referencing databases. The expired 1981 patent by Stephen Hale matched Eric's design almost verbatim. She called Eric Hale's office. He agreed to an urgent meeting that afternoon.
Ms. Marsters, my design is entirely original. Old patents are public domain. Anyone can twist them into false accusations.
But his smile never reached his eyes. His fingers drummed the glass desk once, twice, then stopped.
Let's settle this quietly. My company could make a substantial advertising buy with your outlet. No need for a scandal.
Are you attempting to bribe a journalist, Mr. Hale?
She stood, gathered her notes. Now she had a bigger story, patent fraud and attempted bribery. But she still needed Stephen Hale's side. Rebecca Marsters drove to a quiet neighborhood and parked outside Stephen Hale's modest house. She found him in his workshop, his hands steady on an old lathe, just as she'd expected.
Ms. Marsters, my son doesn't send journalists here. What brings you?
Mr. Hale, I need you to see something. Your son's patent application and the original you filed in 1981.
She laid both patents side by side. The similarities were undeniable. Wording, diagram, even the tolerances.
He didn't even change the technical language. He just cut and pasted my life's work.
He tried to buy my silence. I thought you should know before this goes public.
Leave the copies. I need to read them alone.
Rebecca nodded, stood, and walked out, leaving Stephen alone with 40 years of his own signature.
I always feared he'd try to shortcut the work, but not like this, not with my name scratched out.
Stephen sat in his study for 2 full days, barely moving. Then he reached for the phone.
Ms. Marsters, I'm ready to help, but I have a condition.
What kind of condition?
The story breaks at the award gala. When Eric is on stage holding his trophy, you stand and ask the question.
You want me to publicly humiliate your own son?
I want him to learn a lesson he'll never forget. He needs to see the lie collapse in front of everyone.
Rebecca was silent. Then she nodded, no further questions. Stephen walked to his workbench, unlatched a locked drawer, and removed a manila envelope.
This is the original. Filed 1981. My signature, my notes. It's yours now.
Rebecca opened the envelope. Her eyes found page 4, paragraph 2, the technical trap Eric had never understood. After Rebecca left, Stephen stood in the workshop until dusk. He didn't turn on the lights.
I told you he'd test me one day, didn't I, Margaret?
Her smile in the frame was the same one that had steadied him through 40 years of marriage. 30 years ago, he'd taught Eric to read a micrometer in this very room. At 15, Eric won a science fair with a pressure valve. Stephen had pinned the ribbon himself.
Where did that boy go? When did he start believing the shortcut was smarter than the work?
Rain streaked the small window outside. The world kept moving.
He'll hate me for what's coming. But if I don't stop him, he'll spend his life on stolen ground.
He placed the photograph back on the desk, then straightened his blazer.
1 more week. Then the truth takes over.
With 5 days to the gala, Eric's publicist called with a warning.
Rebecca Marsters? She's a nobody. I shut her down already.
The moment he hung up, his fingers found Stephen's contact. No answer, only voicemail.
Dad never ignores me this long. Unless he knows something.
That evening, he stood before his hotel mirror, rehearsing the acceptance speech.
I owe everything to the foundation my father built.
He faltered on the word father, then stared at his reflection as if it were a stranger.
It's just stage fright. The award is mine. I'll smile, they'll clap, and by morning it's over.
The night before the gala, he barely slept. At 3 a.m., he checked his phone one last time. No messages from his father.
Tomorrow they'll call my name. After that, no one can take it.
The morning of the gala, Rebecca sat in her cramped office. The 1981 patent spread open to page 4.
Paragraph 2. A micro-welding tolerance that no one but Stephen himself could recall from memory.
She circled the phrase in red ink, asymmetric cold welding at 0.002-inch tolerance. Eric had never touched a welding torch.
If you built it, you know this. If you didn't, you freeze.
Margaret gave me this pin the day the patent was granted. Your best work, she wrote.
He lifted the silver gear and pinned it to his navy blazer. His hands did not shake.
Tonight, I carry her with me into the room.
An hour later, Stephen walked into the grand ballroom and took his seat in the back, where the chandelier light barely reached. Rebecca arrived separately, tucking the envelope into her press satchel. She took her seat at the front table, close to the stage.
I gave the industry my design tonight. I give my son the truth.
The ballroom swelled with 600 industry leaders, chandeliers blazing above champagne glasses. Eric Hale drove himself, knuckles white on the steering wheel. He parked, sat still for 10 seconds.
The spotlight's on me tonight, just like I wanted.
He entered through a side door, avoiding the crowd, and paused in the shadow of the curtain wing.
The envelope was an unexploded device in her satchel. She touched the clasp.
From his back corner table, Stephen caught the glint of stage light on a familiar silhouette. Rebecca's press badge hung against her blazer, her name and publication sharp in the chandelier light.
Just get through the speech. Smile. Pause for photos. Then it's done.
The host stepped to the microphone, tapped it twice, and the room began to hush.
Now it begins.
The host leaned into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, the innovator of the year, Eric Hale. Eric emerged from the wing, applause washing over him like a warm tide. He climbed the 3 steps to the stage.
Thank you. This is an honor I've dreamed about since I first picked up a wrench.
His gaze swept the room, then stopped. In the back, half hidden in shadow, was his father.
I owe everything to the man who taught me that an idea is only as good as the integrity behind it. My father, Stephen Hale.
Stephen did not applaud. He simply watched, the silver gear pin on his lapel catching the stage light like a tiny star.
There it is. The lie dressed up as gratitude.
Eric turned the award in his hands, the crystal refracting light across his hollow smile.
I said the line. Now they'll clap, and it's mine forever.
The room breathed with him, unaware that in seconds the gala would be split in two.
I designed this seal from scratch, every tolerance, every weld. No predecessor, no blueprint but my own.
He glanced at his notes again, the same notes that omitted any mention of a 1981 filing. Applause burst through the room. 400 hands clapped for a lie. Stephen did not move. Only his jaw tightened, a small muscle flickering beneath his silver beard.
Just a few more seconds. Let him climb as high as he wants.
Eric lifted the trophy high, the crystal scattering chandelier light into 1,000 fragmented stars.
This is it. My name. My pinnacle. No one can touch me now.
Stephen's hand, hidden beneath the tablecloth, pressed flat against his knee to stop it from trembling.
Now.
The applause began to fade, unaware that the real drama had not yet started.
In closing, I thank this room for recognizing what one man with clear vision can achieve.
He stepped back, trophy in hand, accepting the final wave of applause. Stephen's face remained stone, his eyes fixed on the stage like a hawk.
He's finished. Now it's my turn.
She drew a slow breath and rose from her chair. The scrape of wood cut through the clapping. A ripple of confusion spread through the ballroom. Heads turned. The clapping died. One guest touched her necklace. Another set down a champagne glass.
What is she doing? She wouldn't dare.
Rebecca lifted the yellowed document from her satchel and held it against her chest like a shield. The ballroom held its breath. Eric's smile crumbled. In the sudden quiet, every whisper became a roar.
Eric Hale. I have a question about the seal you just claimed as your original design.
She raised the yellowed pages above her head so the entire room could see. Eric's face went white. His fingers tightened on the crystal trophy until his knuckles blanched. A murmur washed through the ballroom. Confusion, then concern, then a deeper, hungrier silence.
Before you accept this award, I think the room should know what that document really is.
Eric's mouth moved, but nothing came. He shot a desperate glance toward the back of the ballroom. At his table, Stephen did not move, did not blink.
This patent was filed in 1981. I'd like you to explain a specific detail from it.
The host stepped back from the podium, uncertain, as if the floor had tilted beneath his feet. In the absolute stillness, Eric Hale understood that the trap had closed, and he had walked straight into it.
Page 4, paragraph 2, the seal utilizes asymmetric cold welding to achieve a micro-sealing tolerance of 0.002 inches. As the sole inventor, Mr. Hale explained the welding process needed to hit that tolerance.
The words hung in the air like a verdict. Every engineer in the room knew the process was proprietary. Eric's mouth opened. A single syllable, "I," broke out, then collapsed.
I don't know. I've never welded anything. I can't answer.
He looked toward the back of the room at the silver-haired man in the navy blazer. Stephen sat motionless, his hands folded on the table. No rescue would come.
The room is waiting, Mr. Hale. Can the sole inventor answer a question about his own design?
The silence stretched. Someone coughed. A champagne glass toppled and shattered. Eric gripped the podium, knuckles white. No words came. The award hung heavy in his hand.
I don't recall the exact wording. It's a technical nuance that my team refined.
If you were the inventor, you would know every line. You would know it like your own name.
Eric's fingers released the crystal award. It hit the carpet with a hollow thud. At the board table, 3 executives exchanged grim looks. One slowly closed his notebook. In the crowd, a woman whispered to her companion, "That's not his design. That's Stephen Hale's work." Stephen watched his son's collapse from across the room, a single tear tracking down his cheek.
Everyone's staring. They all know it's over.
The board chairman rose from his seat, his face carved from stone, and stepped toward the stage.
The room is waiting, Mr. Hale. Do you have anything further to say?
Eric only shook his head, a small, broken gesture, and the room understood. In the crushing silence, Eric lifted his eyes one last time toward the back of the room. Stephen Hale was on his feet, 73 years old, silver hair catching the light. He gave a single slow nod.
You needed to see this. Now you can start again.
Eric understood. No rescue, no mercy, only the truth delivered by the man he had stolen from. He released the podium. The award stayed on the floor where it had fallen. The host reached out a hand, but Eric brushed past, his face blank as paper. He walked the center aisle, past 600 faces, each one a judgment. At the back, Stephen remained standing, watching his son disappear. A single tear traced his cheek. The ballroom door closed behind Eric with a sound like a lock turning. Outside in the parking garage, Eric sat in the dark of his car, hands on the wheel, staring at nothing. By sunrise, the industry board's press release erased Eric Hale's career in 3 sentences. The Innovator of the Year award is rescinded immediately. The design was stolen from U.S. Patent 4XXXXXXX, filed 1981. His firm's chairman called at 8 a.m. sharp. Your employment is terminated. Security will escort you out. Eric walked past his corner office with a cardboard box, a security guard 2 steps behind. He glanced at the lobby trophy case. Empty. They'd already removed it. In his quiet kitchen, Stephen read the paper, coffee growing cold in his cup.
I wanted him to learn, but I never wanted to win.
He set the paper down and stared at the wall, phone silent. No messages. Eric's apartment was dark. He sat on the floor, tie undone, staring at nothing.
I have nothing. No job, no father, no name.
In his workshop, Stephen sanded a steel fitting until his shoulders ached. But the motion was mechanical.
The patent hangs on the wall like an open wound.
He crossed to the phone, lifted the receiver. His finger hovered over Eric's number. Then he set it down. The silence was heavier than any ringing.
Not yet. He needs to sit with the weight.
Days blurred. Rebecca's full investigation ran on page 1 of the Industry Weekly. Eric read it twice on his phone. The screen, the only light in his dark apartment.
I can't call him. What would I say?
Stephen looked at the patent one evening, then reached for his phone and typed a message. The text said, "Meet me at the diner, 8 a.m." Then he set the phone aside and waited. The diner at 8 a.m. was nearly empty. Stephen sat in the corner booth, 2 cups of coffee already on the table. Eric walked in, head low, and slid into the opposite bench without a word. For a full minute, neither spoke. The only sound was the soft clink of a spoon somewhere behind the counter. Stephen reached into his jacket and laid the 1981 patent on the Formica table. The yellowed paper looked ancient against the white surface. He slid it across the table until it stopped inches from his son's untouched coffee.
You know it by heart now. Spend the next year actually inventing something.
A year. He's giving me a way back.
Eric's hand trembled as he placed it on the document. His voice cracked.
I will. I swear it.
Stephen stood, placed a $10 bill on the table, and gave a single nod before walking out into the morning sunlight. 2 years passed. Eric Hale filed a patent for a novel valve design, entirely his own. No trace of his father's work. He mailed a copy to Stephen. Attached was a single note. "This one I built."
He kept his word. He actually did it.
He carried the envelope to his workshop and stood before the wall where the 1981 patent already hung.
Margaret, he did it. He earned it.
He placed the new patent into a simple black frame, then picked up a hammer. The nail slid into the wall with a soft tap. 2 patents now hung side by side. The original 1981 gift to the industry, and a genuine innovation from the son who had finally learned.
That was all I ever wanted.
Below the patents, on a small shelf, the silver gear pin still rested, unchanged, unblemished. The morning sun fell across the workshop wall, warming 2 framed patents. One was yellowed with age, but its ink still held the 1981 gift to an industry Stephen loved. Beside it, a crisp new patent bore only Eric's name, earned through 2 years of honest reinvention. On a small shelf below, the silver gear pin had not moved in decades. Margaret gave it to him the day the original patent was granted, with a note, "Your best work." It had been with him at the gala, hidden on his lapel as the truth tore through the room. Now it sat in the quiet, polished by nothing but time and remembered hands. Stephen had never raised his voice. He had only waited. And when the truth finally came, it spoke with a weight that no applause could ever match. Some lessons take a lifetime to arrive, but once they do, they never leave.